Get more now with Mark White, who's been listening to what the Director General has been saying. And Mark, the significance is that the Met Police appear now to be back in the driving seat.
Well, I think it's a continuation of the situation that we found ourselves in yesterday with the statement from the Metropolitan Police that they were effectively scoping out the allegations that have been made to see whether it crosses that threshold into potential criminality. But what's new in this is the confirmation from the Director General that the Met have asked them to pause their own investigation here at the BBC while that scoping exercise continues, because clearly if it does become a criminal investigation, that will have to be parked and continued on another day. The criminal investigation would take priority precedence here, but no indication as yet that it will meet the threshold for a criminal inquiry. Another key line that's come out of this news briefing, which, as I say, was all about the annual report on the corporation, but had been absolutely consumed by this current scandal. The other line of importance to emerge is confirmation from the BBC that the presenter at the centre of these allegations was not spoken to by BBC investigators or anyone from management until the 6th of July, the day before these allegations were then splashed all over the Sun newspaper the following day, on the Friday of last week. Now, what the BBC and Tim Davies say in relation to that is that they had received an initial complaint, but they assessed that complaint not to have crossed the threshold into possible criminality. However, they did say that they believed this was a serious complaint. They say that they then tried to make contact again with the complainant, family members of the young person at the centre of the allegations, but that a phone call on the 6th of June, I think it was, to a family member, to the mobile number that was provided, did not connect. However, after that one attempt, it seems that the BBC did not make any overt attempt to contact the family again until, of course, the allegations surfaced on the 6th of July, a month later. So some real questions, I think, for the BBC to answer here. Also, some very significant information coming through from the BBC in terms of the timeline. And if I could go through the timeline of events that they are now telling us. They say that on the 18th of May, the complainant, a family member, attended a BBC building. We believe it was this building here, New Broadcasting House, where they sought to make a complaint about the behaviour of a BBC presenter. Then on the 19th of May, the complainant contacted BBC Audience Services. The details of this contact were referred to the BBC's Corporate Investigations team. On the 19th of May, the BBC say, Corporate Investigations assessed the information contained in the complaint provided from Audience Services. That assessment was made that the basis of the information provided did not include an allegation of criminality, but nonetheless merited further investigation. They say that on the 19th of May, the BBC's Corporate Investigations team emailed the complainant stating how seriously the BBC takes the issue and seeking additional information to verify the claims being made. There was no response, apparently, to that email contact, according to the BBC in their timeline.
Yeah.
You want to ask me a question, Mark?
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got this assertion from Rishi Sunak that he's being told that the claims are being investigated swiftly and rigorously. I wonder now how that ties in with the fact we're now learning that the BBC only spoke to the presenter directly on the 6th of July, when this all began back in May.
Yeah, I mean, it's a key question, and it's definitely an awkward question for BBC management here. They are trying to explain it away by the suggestion that the information that they received did not point to an issue of criminality that they believed was being alleged, but nonetheless they acknowledged themselves that what was being alleged was a serious allegation. Now, given that it was a serious allegation, why, as you say, did we have to wait until actually the Sun newspaper was about to publish those allegations before the presenter at the centre of the allegations was spoken to? Let me just continue with the timeline, if that's okay, Mark. On the 19th of May again, it says that checks were also made to verify the identity of the complainant. This is a standard procedure to confirm that the complainant is the person they say they are. Then it jumps forward onto the 6th of June. Having received no response to the email referenced above, a phone call was made. That's what we've discussed already, which was provided, the number provided by the complainant, by the BBC's Corporation Investigations team. This call, we're told, did not connect. No indication as to whether any subsequent calls were made. We assume from that no subsequent calls were made, or surely they would have detailed that. They say following these attempts to make contact with the complainant, the Corporate Investigations team were due to return to the matter in the coming weeks. No additional attempts to contact the complainant were made after the 6th of June. However, the case remained open throughout. Then they say, of course, on the 6th of July, the Sun newspaper informed them about the very serious allegations, which the BBC management say clearly the Sun allegations did point to potential criminality. At that point, they say they spoke to the presenter at the centre of these allegations.
Mark, what's also interesting in light of us looking at this timeline is that now we understand Tim Davie has asked the corporation's chief operating officer to assess whether the broadcaster's protocols and procedures are appropriate in light of allegations made against one of its presenters.
Yes, I mean, clearly the BBC is in defence mode, of course, because of the inevitable questions about how this initial complaint seems to have been very slow in the official process to have been worked on, with, now we know, just one call back to the complainant, an email, of course, earlier, a day or so after the initial complaint was made, which they got no response to, but then just one phone call after that, and weeks that went by with seemingly nothing further done, as far as we can ascertain, by the investigators. And yes, Tim Davie is saying that the way in which complaints are flagged up will be looked at again to ensure that all of those structures and procedures are in place and operating properly. We are still in the early stages of a very active investigation into allegations of potential criminality. So, of course, in tandem with that are the questions about how the complaint was dealt with. But the fact is, the BBC can't do too much about that at the moment because they have been asked to pause all of their investigations until the Met can come back with something definitive on whether they will actually launch a criminal investigation.
Mark, thank you very much for taking us through all that. From